Mr. Lonely is Harmony Korine's third film. This video has major spoilers on the entire film, fair warning. Mr. Lonely is very different from Harmony's last two films, visually and structurally. This film is more of a cohesive story. It technically has a linear plot. It's not a complex plot at all, but it feels more like a traditional film, but it's still a Harmony Korine film. It's about a Michael Jackson impersonator living in Paris, France. He dances on the street and in retirement communities. He meets a Marilyn Monroe impersonator and she invites him to live in her commune for just impersonators, and he goes with her. Her husband is Charlie Chaplin and their daughter is Shirley Temple. The other impersonators are James Dean, Three Stooges, Sammy Davis Jr., the Pope, Abraham Lincoln, the Queen of England, Buckwheat from the Little Rascals, the Little Red Riding Hood, and Madonna. They live in pure isolation with only their sheep. There's a strange subplot of a group of nuns literally dropping off food in a small plane led by their priest, played by Werner Herzog. One of the nuns falls out of the plane but prays to God and survives the fall. She believes she survived because she was true of heart and gets many other nuns to join her. There's some real sexual tension between Michael and Marilyn, but they never have sex. Marilyn spends most of her time with her mean husband. They put on a talent show for a few people, and very suddenly they find Marilyn has hung herself. It's an effective scene. I wasn't expecting it at all. The imagery of that entire scene was my favorite part of the film. We also see the dead nuns in a lake. God didn't protect them. Michael goes back to France. He cuts his hair and decides he's not Michael Jackson. He's just himself, whoever that is. I think it's a positive that he wants to find out who he really is and drops the Michael act, so it's not a complete downer of an ending. Harmony made this film 8 years after his last feature film, Julian Donkey Boy, but he made a few music videos and short films in between. I've read that he wanted to make this film shortly after Julian Donkey Boy, but his personal life and drug use put it on pause. I think this is when he started to calm down and clean up his act. It took him a while, but he eventually found financiers who gave him $8.2 million to make this film. At the time, it was his most expensive film, and after this, he's been making projects non-stop, all of them very successful. I didn't watch this film till maybe the first year after I graduated high school, which was 2010. Same with Julian Donkey Boy. I remember not loving either of these films, but thinking Julian Donkey Boy was more entertaining. But now rewatching both these movies, I like Mr. Lonely a lot more. I really like the cinematography and just the entire look of the film. It looks completely different from his previous films. It's more polished and cohesive. You know exactly what you're looking at, and it works with these beautiful locations of Paris and Scotland. Diego Luna is a good actor, and it's fun watching him portray Michael. And it was cool to see Werner and Harmony reunite again. Harmony has said he just had this idea of making a film on a Mexican Michael Jackson impersonator. He wanted to explore the obsessive nature of an impersonator's behavior. He didn't want to mock or belittle them. I think he has a fondness and empathy for impersonators. To me, this film is about people who don't want to be themselves. None of these characters ever reveal their past or even their real names. At first, I thought this film was going to turn into a story about a cult, all these people isolated from the world, but it doesn't. They truly just want to be alone with other impersonators because they understand each other. Harmony spent a part of his childhood in an isolated commune, so I'm sure that was a big reason why the story went in that direction. The beginning of the film I feel is kind of a sad comedy. You can't help but laugh a little when Michael is practicing his dance moves, and you can't help but feel bad for him as he performs for the senior citizens. To be honest, I thought that was the funniest scene. I wasn't laughing at Michael though, I was laughing at the seniors' reactions to him. They're like, what the hell is happening? There's a sweetness to it though, but it's also a sadness. Then the film feels like it could be a romance. I found myself rooting for Michael to kiss Marilyn, but it never happens. I really feel bad for Marilyn. She's a sad character, very mysterious. I was very confused with the nuns the first time watching this years ago. I read that Harmony just kept having these dreams of flying nuns, and I think he just wanted to put it in the film, so he just did. It doesn't need to be in the film at all. It does make the film sadder in the end though, and gives some very unique images, but I think the whole flying nun story could have been its own short film. As funny as Gummo is, it dealt with some really dark and scary subject matter. Mr. Lonely is sad, but it's not dark or scary like his previous films. It's a very unique installment in Harmony's career. It's much more lighthearted, and I like that. And I just love the idea of a film putting Sammy Davis Jr., James Dean, Michael Jackson, and Shirley Temple all together. Just hearing that in a sentence is like, huh? Only Harmony Korine could ever think of something like that. So that's my review on Mr. Lonely. I'm Jacob from Cinema Junkies. Thanks for watching. Keep watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, hit that like button, and follow me on Instagram, cinemajunkies_. Don't forget the underscore.